Hello, little bookworms. Welcome back to Tiny Little Bookworms. Today, we have a classic fairy tale about a sweet girl named Little Red Riding Hood. It's a story full of adventure, surprises, and important lessons. So grab your favorite blanket and get ready to listen to how Little Red's journey through the woods teaches us about safety and listening to our loved ones. Once upon a time, in a small village in the middle of a big forest, lived a sweet little girl named Little Red Riding Hood. She got her name from the red hooded cloak her grandmother had made for her. Little Red loved to visit her grandmother, who lived on the other side of the woods. One sunny morning, her mother packed a basket with freshly baked goodies and a jar of honey for her grandmother. "Be careful, my dear," her mother said. "Stay on the path and don't talk to strangers." Little Red promised to listen to her mother and set off on her journey with a skip in her step. She hummed a happy tune as she walked along the winding path through the magical forest. Little Red didn't know that a sneaky wolf was watching her from the shadows. The wolf wanted the delicious treats she was carrying and came up with a plan to trick her. "Good morning, Little Red Riding Hood," the wolf said, pretending to be friendly. "Where are you going with such a lovely basket?" "Oh, good morning, Mr. Wolf," Little Red replied politely. "I'm going to visit my grandmother. She's not feeling well, and I'm bringing her some goodies to make her feel better." The wolf's eyes sparkled with mischief. "That's very kind of you. But don't you think it would be nice to pick some flowers for your grandmother from the meadow over there? I'm sure she would love them." Little Red thought it was a good idea and went into the meadow to pick some flowers. The wolf quickly ran to her grandmother's cottage, hoping to get there before her. When he arrived at the cottage, the wolf found the grandmother resting in bed. He quickly locked her in the closet and put on her nightcap and glasses, pretending to be her. Meanwhile, Little Red finished picking flowers and arrived at her grandmother's cottage. Knocking on the door, she called out, "Grandma, it's me, Little Red Riding Hood. I've brought you some treats," he wolf replied in a disguised voice. "Come in, my dear." As Little Red entered the cottage, she noticed that her grandmother looked different. "Grandma, what big eyes you have," she said, feeling suspicious. "The better to see you with, my dear," the wolf replied, trying to sound like the grandmother. Little Red noticed other changes too. "Grandma, what big ears you have," she said. "The better to hear you with, my dear," the wolf replied, trying to hide his excitement. Finally, Little Red noticed the sharp teeth. "Grandma, what big teeth you have," she said, now sure that something was wrong. "The better to eat you with," the wolf shouted, throwing off the disguise and showing his true self. Terrified, Little Red ran to the door, but just as the wolf jumped towards her, a brave woodsman burst into the cottage. He had heard the noise and hurried to save Little Red and her grandmother. With a mighty swing of his axe, the woodsman scared the wolf away. Little Red and her grandmother were safe. From that day on, Little Red Riding Hood learned an important lesson about being careful and never talking to strangers. She thanked the brave woodsman for saving her and promised to be more careful in the future. Wow, what an exciting story, little bookworms! Little Red Riding Hood learned an important lesson today. Always be careful, stay on the path, and never talk to strangers. Just like Little Red, we should listen to the advice of those who care about us to stay safe. Thanks for watching today's adventure. If you enjoyed the story, make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell so you never miss another magical tale from Tiny Little Bookworms. See you next time with more fun stories.